YouTube, and hopefully that will do it. Welcome to Seer and Higher Self. Sorry for the delay. Good. We're back. We're here. So welcome. And so for Seer and Higher Self questions, so it's only source aligned. So I just need your first name, your year of birth, and your question. And then we check in with your higher self. Hi, Senija. Just checking the chat. Third time. You mean it took 3 times to get on, or what do you mean third time? It took a bit. Today I feel like there's some action happening. I'll send you some hearts. There's some action happening. But sometimes we just need to get refreshed. I'm just going to turn off my phone because I turned it on so when I was dealing with the internet. I did like I guess like a guided, well, Eckhart does his talks, like he basically talks and then he kind of does pointers like into presence and presence like into the heart, into the deep eye. So I'm just seeing that the internet you were disconnected. Oh, so Senija said I was disconnecting 3 times. Okay, thanks, Senija. So hopefully that will stabilize. I actually restarted I tried to get to start on time at 11:11 and it wasn't. And then YouTube said it can't go. And so then I had to restart the internet. And so it looked like it was a little unstable there for a minute, but hopefully it stabilizes now. So, and then, hi, Juanita, I see you. Okay, great. I wish I could see you, but it's like a one-way track. It's like the only way I can communicate is through the chats. So, okay, so it sounds good. I've been given confirmation that it sounds good and that I'm back. So it looks like it's stable. So Juanita asks, Juanita says, glad to see you. Okay, so Juanita has a question, but let's do a little guided journey so that we just claim the space and that we kind of get into the heart space. And it always helps to connect to 0 point, which 0 point is like the point of neutrality. So it's 90 basically. It's kind of above 90, but let's just say 90. And then we're connecting through the heart, and the heart's 5D. And then they kind of like everything works together once we go into the heart of presence. So let's go into the heart of presence through our heart, connecting to our higher self, only source aligned. And so I always word it that way, only source aligned. And we're asking for the deepest healing and the deepest clearing, right to the root cause, to the very first incarnation. And only source aligned guides. And only source aligned higher self, or you can call your higher self infinite self. And then I would say infinite self, only source aligned, higher self, only source aligned. And then we're connecting into the heart, into the deep, what Eckhart calls the higher self is the deep eye, because it brings us into the inner body and into the heart. And we only connect to God, source, divine presence. And so I'm just going to name the internet interference. So anytime anything happens, when I'm doing anything now, I claim it in source's name and I name it and then I send it to source. So we'll do that together. So the internet cut out. I couldn't get the YouTube live going. My voice was also being interfered with. So I'm going to name all of this in source's name. and that I do not give consent. Inferred consent is not consent. And I do not consent to these types of experiences in any time, space, dimensions. I'm not of their realm, and this realm has no claim on what I am. I'm asking for the records to be updated with Toth and Anubis only source aligned. And then I send this experience to source and then back to sender. And I'm asking for source's compensation for this experience. And I'm asking for God source divine presence to step in on my behalf. They don't like that one. It's basically saying like, I want my higher self to step in. I'm only source aligned. And then whatever dimension your higher self lands in is always earned. Light is always earned. And then that's a lot of light. And so this morning when I woke up, what I saw, I usually get like what I call like a transmission or a message or information before the lives. And in this morning, what I hear a lot in sessions and from myself, what I heard myself say a lot in my life is that, so say somebody does something really bad, okay, in this life. And and you think, how can they get away with it? Like, how can they get away with what they did? It is so bad. And then you send it to God, you send it to source, and but anytime, say, you hear that person's name or you remember that event, your nervous system gets hijacked. You go into fear, you go into anger, you go into sadness, but your nervous system gets hijacked, your memories get hijacked, and then you're pulled into the past. Okay, that doesn't mean that what is happening isn't working in terms of your clearing and connecting to God, source, divine presence through the heart. It doesn't mean it's not working. It just means your body is showing you there is more healing to be done, more release to be done. Because 0 point is that even in those most horrific, traumatic experiences, it is possible, and I'm saying it's possible because I do it. It is possible to get to a point where your biggest trauma, and this isn't spiritual bypassing, because we're noticing if a memory still our body still reacts with a memory or a person, it means more healing and clearing needs to happen. And so that's why the decrees are so important, because you actually have a way of advocating for yourself, updating your records and clearing. And that is really empowering. And you're doing it in your own voice, your own, pen and paper, you know, um, and you're claiming what happened. And you're saying, I revoke all inferred consent, because 3D and 4D are all inferred consents. Well, 100 years ago, she said yes to this experience. And so we're just going to, repeat it over and over and over again. And that's basically how 3 and 4D are. But crossing consent is a huge deal. And they know that. And that's why they put things out in movies, and they're like, and we're like, oh, wow, they were predicting the future. The Simpsons are predicting the future. The Simpsons are not predicting the future. Those are confessions. They're saying, this is what we're doing behind the scenes, and we want to let you guys know, because we're not going to cross your consent, because look, we already told you in The Simpsons, or we already told you in The Terminator, or we already told you in The Truman Show. So if they already told us, then they're not responsible. And so that's why I always say inferred consent is not consent. So what I was shown was something that happened, like 20, like 30 years ago, around like 3 decades. And so I was shown exactly the scene, and then I was shown like what happened. And then what I was told was, sometimes when you have like your higher self has a high consciousness. So you've been, like for me, it's like any lifetime I'm always landing on earth and then awakening in consciousness. That's the goal. And so you have what I call like monitoring spirits around you, which are like Anunnaki entangled or Archon entangled, which is Draco reptilian and reptilian. And then you have more of them around you than you realize. And then once you become conscious and aware, then you're seeing all of that, which is means that the rose-colored glasses come off. Because the rose-colored glasses cannot be there at the same time as awakening. You can keep the rose-colored glasses, but then you're kind of going to be in a standstill in terms of awakening consciousness. And so what I was shown was the scene and then seeing that I didn't have a reaction. And then I was told that what the person received for that traumatic event, because it's like a weird thing, but they actually get bonuses. If they interfere with you and then cause harm and then kind of bring your frequency down, they kind of win a prize. And so what I was shown, so I'm getting some hearts, so thank you. Send some back. So what I was shown was that this person did something very traumatic and he received $1.5 million in this lifetime. And the monitoring spirit that was connected to that, like my sister is alive, she's a year younger than me and she's in a human body, she's alive, but she is like an Anunnaki entangled person. And so she was like the monitoring spirit, but she's not a spirit. She was like the monitoring person of that event. And so then I had to see her, and it's hard if it's like your sibling or your mother or your father or your brothers, or your aunt or your uncle. It's hard to actually see people as they are, so I had to see my sister as she is in this. And basically, that needs to happen with 5D embodiment. Like 5D embodiment requires you to kind of see everything and then get to the point where you've healed or worked through it enough to um, to be able to be neutral, which is 0 point. So like that event now, if I was reminded of it, and it took like decades of healing. If I was reminded of it, if I am reminded of it, it's like I'm neutral. It's not that I'm not remembering what happened. I know what happened. I know the whole story. I know all the dynamics, but now I know the whole picture. And that is what embodying 5D means, or 6D, or 7, or 8, or 9. Like we have to, like, even if you incarnate at 7D, you still have to embody 5D, which is actually really hard when you have incarnated at 7D. And then, because you go 5D and then, whoa, slippery slope, you could be 3D, right? So if you're not paying attention. So, but the main thing is like naming in your records, naming with the decree, like naming what you do not consent to. And because they just kind of roll it, in timelines. Oh, in that timeline, she said yes. So we're going to roll it. It worked in that timeline. We're going to roll it again in this time. And then it's all for you not to awaken and activate your light body, which is also called your diamond body, crystalline body, your 5D body, basically. Because 5D has an energy frequency. It has a crystalline frequency, and it is based in the heart, right? So joy and love in the heart, and then stabilizing. So that's what I was shown today. And then I was shown it basically as an example, but also to show that there is a completion. And so in 3D, it feels like, whoa, that happened like 30 years ago, more like almost 4 decades ago. And then you think, God, that just took forever. But it's not actually, because it's a huge thing to heal and overcome. So it's not. And it's really great to see when things complete, because they are completing for many people. All right. What, I keep wanting to adjust everything. I want to adjust everything. There's a lot happening, so I'm just going to clear our nervous system for everybody just through the hair, just because I feel like there's a lot of action, a lot of action happening. So we're just going to clear, clear, clear. Clear, 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 clear the nervous system. And once the nervous system is stabilized, it's actually easy for us to see things as they are because on on the main level of our heart, we do know when things are true. Like even when people lie to us, we do know when we do feel something weird, like they're lying or there's something funny going on or there's some funny business, right? So on like it like we do know, and then how much we're willing to see, feel, and hear and know is up to us. Okay. All right, let's see. Let's take a look at the chat. Lots is happening. Oh yeah, and I wanted to announce I'm gonna do both Tuesday and Thursday at 11:11. It just makes it a lot easier. They're easier to remember. Just Tuesday and Thursday I'm doing the lives, and they're both going to be at 11:11. So that's a change. And thanks for being here. Okay. And thank you, Senija, off the top to tell me that I was disconnecting like 3 times, that it did take a bit to get onto this YouTube live, but I feel like that transmission of what I was shown with, even though like in 3D, it might be like, oh, like 3 decades is so long. Actually, like it's not, because it's actually cleared in one lifetime, which is amazing. And that's what we're clearing. We're clearing many timelines in this timeline. And then we've got a celebration. Thank you. Um, okay. Juanita, looks like she has a question. And then um Senija has a question. Okay, so Senija's question I'll do after Juanita's. And then I'm so Juanita's asking, but you are not affected by it now? Yeah, not at all. And so it was showing that in order to have full 5D body embodied, like for me to be fully 5D embodied, and you can be activating in 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 at the same time, but they all need like they all need a completion, but it's your choice for the completion. And so for me, this was something that was shown that this needs to complete. But so I am zero, not affected by it at all. And then also not, and I'm always told like, if I do a clearing, how many are freed? And then I'm also told usually if there was like kind of there usually is like a dollar number on your head, because they're almost like, when they had those, in movies, and they would show it in TV series, or it would be like a bounty hunter and there'd be like a number on your head. And so if they captured you or if they interfered in some way, they got like a certain amount of money. And then that's kind of how 3D Earth works. Like, but the thing is like Source's money is unlimited. And so a lot of people sell their souls, sell their connection to their higher self, for like peanuts. Like 1.5 million to Source is like peanuts. Like he sold his soul for peanuts, basically, is what was shown to me. Like 1.5 million to sell your soul is peanuts. It's nothing, right? Like good luck, getting it back. Like, and that's the thing is that they don't make you come to them. Like you go to them, like you volunteer, oh, I want to be famous, oh, I want like money, I want, you know like Lucifer's not hunting you down. Like you're volunteering, you're going and you're begging, oh, I want to be, the smartest person. Like I want to be the most beautiful. Like they're not hunting you down. You're going to them. You're selling yourself to them. And then that's what I call Archon entangled. So if you're spending your life doing a lot of lying, cheating, and stealing, then that's a lot to clear up. Like we're clearing up trauma. Starseeds, light workers, sensitives, empaths are clearing up trauma from all timelines so that you can be free and awaken in freedom in this lifetime, in this timeline, in this body. And then basically, we kind of close out other timelines, so say that, you know, for me, I have memories of the crucifixion timeline, and it was actually the hardest for me to heal from. And I couldn't even I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to think about it. I didn't want to talk about Jesus or Mother Mary or I didn't even want to look at that timeline. And I totally now can look at that timeline completely. But that's how quickly things can change. I started working through that in 2023, and then now, 3 years later, I feel completely embodied and clear about it. Okay, so just before going into the questions, I'm just going to look over the chat. Juanita says, we can't remember all the lifetimes and timelines. Yeah, so we can't unless it's necessary for your healing in this timeline. Like this body and this timeline matters the most, and the present moment matters the most. But if there is something else from another timeline that is holding you back in this timeline, you will remember it. Your higher self will show you it in order to clear it for this lifetime. But a lot of times, and so Juanita says, cool, wow. She says, I don't know about this. Oh, I'm not sure at what point you said that, Juanita. And then 1.5 of fake printed money. Yeah, that's, that's Senija. 1.5 million of fake printed money. Yeah, but that's them, right? Like they're ones fake, writing the fake checks and writing the fake money and the fake borrowing and the fake trillions. Yeah, that's 3D. But we have to respect in terms of awakening, we have to respect and see the 3D as it is. And then because if we're hate the 3D and hate being in a body, then you're not going to awaken from that state, because they love hate. Like if you stayed in hate and anger and fear and desperation your entire incarnation, the 3D and 4D controllers would be ecstatic. So if you want to make them unhappy, then awaken in consciousness, and that makes them very unhappy, because then you're out of their control. And then Juanita says, clearing trauma, freedom, I want that. And then what brand of shampoo do you use? Oh, you're the second person that has asked me that. Actually, the third person that has asked me that in the last while. It is, okay, so what kind of shampoo is it? It's a shampoo. Um, what's the name of it? I think it's I have to think about it. But anyways, it's a shampoo that has some apple cider vinegar in it. It's I buy it at Whole Foods. I don't like to buy I don't like to buy much at Whole Foods. And also because I feel like anytime I go into Whole Foods, I spend $75 or something, or ridiculous. Like I buy 3 things and it's like $75. And also too, it's owned by Amazon and whatever. It's all the trillionaires. I will see if I can remember, but right now I cannot remember, but I will see if I can remember. It's it's okay. No, I don't remember it right now, but thank you for asking. But it's like a really like something that doesn't have many ingredients in it. Um, and then Juanita says, I don't hate, but I would rather not be influenced by the low vibes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then, but staying in your heart space and clearing, then, you're not, I think it's called Philip Lim, the shampoo. It's like really, let me just see if I can find it quickly. Um, I know somebody asked me recently and I had to look it up. My friend, she was like, she touched my hair. Oh, Philip Adam. Philip Adam, Phillip Adam, Philip Adam shampoo. It's like very Philip Adam shampoo, and I use a little bit of conditioner too. Um, and I bought it at Whole Foods. But it's apple cider vinegar shampoo. But it's not like super strong in terms of vinegar. Yeah. Yeah, Philip Adam. Yeah, Philip Adam shampoo, apple cider. He has like different kinds, but this one is apple cider vinegar. Okay, let's get to your questions. Oh my goodness, 11:44. Okay, and then there we go. Okay, so Juanita's question. Okay, Juanita, I'm just gonna drink some water. Let me see. Okay. Juanita from Oregon, welcome. She, her, born on July 1981. Okay, let's see. Okay, I was wondering about what was going on with my child support. Okay. Why are they not letting me have the amount owed? And then what can I do now to get some income? Okay. Well, I'm sorry that's happening. That's so scary. So I'm wondering about what is going on with my child support and why are they not letting me have the amount owed? Okay, so owed child support. Okay. And then what can Juanita do for income? And Juanita says you can see my dog in the photo. Oh, cute. That's your dog. Nice. All right, sending some love to your dog. Okay. All right, let's take a look at Juanita because this is very serious. Okay, so your child support is being owed, and then what can you do for income? Okay, so right away they're clearing nervous system. So clearing your nervous system. Yeah, it's what they're saying right away is that it's tied to your freedom. So it's like if you get your child support, in a way, it creates like freedom for you. And so what they're actually wanting to withhold is your freedom. So they're holding power over you, is what they're saying. Okay, so right now we're gonna state it together if you choose. We're gonna state it together that they do not have consent. So connecting with Juanita, 1981. So connecting with Juanita, 1981, securing the nervous system, going to 0 point. So we'll do this together. going to 0 point through the heart, connecting to God source divine consciousness. We're holding our highest timeline for Juanita 1981. And that we are naming that we do not give consent to the withholding of child support and money and resources that are owed to Juanita. And we do not consent to power over or the blocking of freedom for Juanita, 1981. Connecting to our higher selves, only source aligned. So we named what happened, which is that the child support is being withheld. We're naming that they are having power over Juanita by controlling the money, and that they are attempting to block Juanita's freedom. And so we do not consent to these types of experiences. And we're asking for the records only source aligned, Anubis and Toth only source aligned, to update it in the records that they do not have consent, and inferred consent is not consent. And we are asking for compensation from God source divine presence for this interference. And we want it updated in all times, spaces, dimensions, realities. Could feel like there was a little bit of a block in all realities. And we want to create a fire shield around Juanita, a secure fire shield that she is fully protected. And we're asking God source divine presence to step in on Juanita's behalf, only source aligned, so that Juanita can feel relaxed and that she can feel ease and grace into her life. And then bringing in the resources that Juanita needs to be independent. And we're asking for the deepest healing and the deepest clearing, right to the root cause, to the very first incarnation. And we want Juanita to experience relaxation to the point where she's like laying on a hammock in the middle of the day and she's so relaxed because there's no one holding anything over her. Okay. And then what what caught my eye was this like a delivery, and it was that there's like, it's almost like there's like a delivery to your house, but the house number was missing. And so it's like right now we're going to fill in basically the house number. Basically, we're filling in your basically what it looked like is that they create like this like interference. And so it's like, oh, we can't locate Juanita. It's like, yes, you can. So they just remove this film. It looked like a film. It looked like an interference. And so it has been removed. And so now the window, like to be able to see you clearly is like the film has been removed and you can be seen clearly. So it's like a little, it's not little, right? But it's like an interference. So they just remove that interference. So we're asking for compensation from God, Source, Divine Presence for that experience and for that film that was clouding and over Juanita. Whew. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So good. So it looked like, was I frozen there for a minute? I might have been frozen there for a minute. Okay. So it looks like I'm back. All right. So they're just saying it's cleared and they've cleared it. And then how it looked is that it was like kind of like your location was, there was like a film over your location. They were trying to like basically, it's just 40 interference, right? Like it's just like, it's just, they're not imaginative. They do this to everybody. This is just kind of like what they do. So, but for us in this work, with energy work, we see it, we name it, and we clear it in source's name, and then we send it to source, back to sender. And then hopefully now you're going to feel like some relaxation and some peace. So, well, you will. And it's been removed. So, and I'm hearing it was removed and cleared in 3 timelines. So, yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to check the chat for Juanita's feedback. Um, so like they are on the up and up, or is there something fishy going on there? And then not cool. I do not give consent in source's name, and I will say it. And then smiley face. And then thank you that it is cleared. Yeah, it is cleared. And yeah, thank you, Juanita. And it was a good question. And I heard that it is been an interference in 3 timelines. So that means it's cleared in all 3. And so we just want to update sending love. So we just want to update the records in source's name for Juanita, make sure that all of this has been updated um, by Toth and Anubis in source's name. And that we're going to bring in source's golden light to come in and bring in that healing, abundant, gold filled light to kind of bring it into the cells, into the body, and then to bring in that alignment, the source alignment. Good. All right. Good. Thanks, Juanita. So we'll close now and end for Juanita. So sealing her space in source's name. So Juanita is totally secure and safe with the golden light of source. And any attempts for any interference will go back to source and be immediately removed and then go back to source to sender. Yeah, good. Okay, so Juanita says that feels good. Sigh, relaxing, safe. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, good. That feels good. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Juanita. Good question. Okay, and now let's look at Senija's question. Senija says, My body still holds a lot of religious brainwashing. Can you please ask my higher self to clear the rest of it? I've been releasing it last night, and I was reading a book, triggering those memories of fear in God. Yeah, it's like the 3D God is not God. 3D God is not God. It's like, Yeshua's name. In the time frame that Yeshua was on earth in the crucifixion timeline, there was no J in our language. So they made up the name Jesus. I'm actually holding on to my crystal while I'm saying this. They like made up that name, Jesus. So it's like, what else do they make up? It's a pretty big deal. They had the name Yeshua, that was a real name in that timeline, but there was no J. So, okay. So Senija 1973. Is that right? I think, I hope. Senija 1973. So religious brainwashing. All right. Um, religious brainwashing. And then also too that they hijack the name God, and that's why Eckhart Tolle uses divine presence. So I'm getting 100%, 100%. Yeah. So even Eckhart, he says it's so the name has been hijacked, just like Yeshua's name was hijacked with the name Jesus. So Eckhart uses divine presence, and I use source, but I have clients and friends that use God, but not the religious God, but the true God source, divine presence. I see God as the eternal living light, and then source as the all of the umbrella all. And then, but yeah, that religious brainwashing, let's take a look at that. Those are Sinija's words. My body still holds a lot of religious brainwashing, and can you please ask my higher self to clear the rest of it? Okay, so let's look at that question first. Okay, so Senija 1973. Okay, so clear, 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 connecting through the heart, connecting, connecting. So we're just opening the heart. They're just saying they're opening the heart, opening the heart, opening the heart, opening the heart. Only source aligned. Clear, cancel, release, clear, cancel, release, clear, cancel, release, clear, cancel, release. They're like, it's that simple. Religious programming comes in and you can say, clear, cancel, release. Because anything that is asking you to give you your power or to have power over you is not God, is not source. So God, source, divine presence is respect equals respect. Love equals love, not love like power over love or power over respect. It's not, you respect God, but God doesn't respect you. That is not unconditional love. And the highest frequencies, highest dimensions are unconditional love, a love without conditions. And so we are given free will, but to a point in 3D. So, it seems like, people can just do whatever they want. No, they can't. Like a lot of people now are getting caught in the tribunals with Anubis and Thoth. And so I'm shown in sessions that when Anubis comes in and I always ask, like a lot of clients are also seers. So I'll say, how do you, what do you see? What do you hear? What do you know? So that they're getting the information themselves, not just me receiving it and giving them, because they're getting impressions at the same time I'm getting impressions, just like you are in these lives. You're getting information too. You're feeling it in your body. And so Anubis would be like dressed in his gladiator outfit. And I know when he's in his gladiator outfit, it's because he's going to capture. because they portal jump, and that's what they've been doing, for 2000 years. They're jumping portals, they're trying to they're all like this sneaky tech stuff. But all of that is, getting shut down. So because they don't want to they're going to, basically what happens is they're going to be captured. They're going to be looked at, the scale of justice with Priestess Matt, where the heart is on one side and the feather is on the other side. And then based on that, can the soul be cleared? Can the higher self be cleared? Or has the soul or the higher self, have they done too much damage? And then basically, if they've done too much damage, then they just get basically wiped and then taken back to source. And then they become, like integrated back into source. Whereas we're having a source experience, but away from source, or in a way, not away, but like we're having an experience, not just like all enveloped in source, or else we would just be feeling, total unconditional love. Okay, so just releasing, releasing, releasing. They're like, the programming is really intense. So they're just going to release the nervous system and the back of the head. So there's like an interference at the back of the head and the nervous system. So where the head and the nervous system connect, they're just going to clear that interference. It's another one. They're saying it's an overlay. So they're just going to clear the overlay. So we're going to go to still point. Calm down. Go into still point. Just going to fix my microphone. Okay, so going into still point, and then they're just going to clear. And it's interesting, like my mic dropped, right? So it's like clearing the interference from the heart, but the gateway that they used was the nervous system. And that is very typical, that gets hijacked. And then with this work, like we're clearing, it's basically like sister and brotherhood together. So as one clears, we all clear, right? Or the potential to clear, like as one clears, then we all clear. So as Senija is clearing this, as Juanita is clearing this, like we're clearing together. So we're seeing where in the body it's holding. So that's a really good question. So your question was pointing, I want to know where in the body. Well, it is in the point where the head, the skull, and the nervous system meet at the back of the head. That was the point. That was where that's where the interference came into the body. And then, but what it blocked was the heart. And when it blocked the heart, it was blocking that mutual respect. And it was blocking like basically sisterhood and brotherhood, the oneness, which is 5D. So they're like with the brainwashing, that's like they took like, there was this like netting over where the head and the nervous system met. It was like an energetic webbing. Yeah, like that's more accurate than a net, like webbing, kind of almost like so fine. It would be like a spider's webbing, but don't be grossed out. It's not a spider's web. And then they're just going to basically like, I was like, well, do you remove it? And they're saying, we're just going to dissolve it. It's just by naming it. And then Senija saying, there's something being held in the body, like something is holding on the body. And then they're saying, then it can just evaporate. So with Senija's higher self, and then only source aligned. So they're just like evaporating it. It kind of made the body, like for me, it felt like squiggly, like wiggly, like it felt like it was like, I don't know, like it affected like your balance is what it felt like. So I'm going to hold on to the crystal because this is a big one, because this happens to many people. So we're just going to connect to the crystalline grid of earth, of new earth. And then just use the crystal like with the heart and then like for purification and for clearing. And then just asking our higher selves to clear it right to the root cause, to the very first incarnation in all time, space, dimensions, and all realities, and all realities, and all realities. That's the key one. That's what they were blocking, is all in all realities. So just clearing, clearing, clearing. Okay. Yeah. And then only source aligned. So they're just clearing. The crystal is helping. So just clearing, and then, but we're grounding, grounding, grounding. And they're saying basically it did peel off a layer, like this clearing will peel off a layer, and then, but we're grounding it back into the earth. So it's not like, what is actually more accurate is like a fear, like a fear is instilled by the controllers, and the controllers think they're God or have a parasite that they don't know that they're God, or maybe they do know that they're pretending, but they want to be worshipped like gods in 3 and 4D. But seeing them from 5D, it's like, it's so crystal clear, right? So that's what is bumping up right now, like your crystal clarity of like anchoring and embodying and clearing to embody 5D, which is like a frequency, a heart-based frequency. And so everything not love needs to be shown and revealed. So it's like a big spotlight basically on the heart. They're bringing in a lot of fire. They're going to bring in some fire for purification. And then they're just saying they know that what it messed with ultimately is your faith, your faith in source, in God, in the divine. And it twisted your faith, where your faith is actually like pure, it's like pure connection to God's source, divine presence. It's like pure heart, pure connection, and that, and messing with faith, it's like messes the wonder, the joy. So got some 100%. Thank you, Senija. But that's why it's really important, even with our higher selves, even with guides, like even with Yeshua and Miriam, I always say only source aligned. And it took me a long time to heal and clear that the crucifixion timeline. I found it very traumatic, that these like light beings that come in, that incarnated at, Yeshua incarnated at 7D frequency, awakened to 7D frequency, and then of course went to 9D in an earth body in a very dense timeline. And then Miriam incarnated at 9D in a 3D body in a very dense timeline, and then just the lack of respect would be like saying it lightly. But that doesn't mean, like Yeshua's ultimately, he's a light worker, and Miriam is a light worker, and they came to help in bringing in like heart-based consciousness in very dense timelines. So like it's basically they're saying, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's a weird expression. I don't even know actually know what that means, but that's what they're saying, is they're saying basically don't, just because God is convoluted in 3D, don't throw out God just because people mess with God, or don't throw out, like the ascended masters just because people mess with ascended masters. The ascended masters, their intention was to come and help. Buddha came to help and to bring in a frequency and a consciousness. And Buddha's actually like strict, you know? Um, yeah. But they're basically saying, don't let it, like, don't let it, don't let them take over your faith. Your faith is at a higher consciousness than 3 and 4D. And ultimately, respect is, um, I don't know, this line keeps popping into my head, like basically like Jesus and I don't know, I'm not expert, okay, on the Bible or any of that. So I, but there was one line that, Jesus said, basically, it's not women that need to change, but if men are like lustful or whatever, they should like rip their eyeballs out. Like he wasn't like, peace, love, and harmony. He was like, you have a direct connection to God. Your heart and God's heart is one heart. Like you don't need a middle person. And, he did come in and he smashed, the temples, and he got mad because they were taking the information and twisting it, like that 20% distortion, which is a huge distortion. And that's basically how 3D has been controlled. Like the controllers have set that 20% distortion in everything in 3D, which makes it so, confusing until we start, naming it and seeing things as they are, not how we've been told. And questioning, answering questions. When you're asking questions, you are coming out of 3D. As soon as you are asking questions, that is high level 3D going into 4D. And then the decrees help clear the interference of 4D. So then maybe you can, if you choose, but see those memories and the fear of God by reading what you were reading. It was like triggering you, and see if we can catapult into a healing, right? Into a release, into a surrender, right? And also naming, like, I don't give consent. Actually, let's do that together. So I do not give consent for these images of God that were given to me when I was young and vulnerable. I do not consent to images and stories and, being told like, God's going to punish me, or I'm bad in God's eyes. Like all of those messages, I revoke everything that isn't love in God's name. And I do not give consent to any messages where God is putting me down or disparaging me or controlling me. I do not give consent. And inferred consent is not consent. And as a child, I cannot consent. So all of that is not consent. And I'm asking for the deepest healing and deepest clearing from source. And I send these experiences to source and these messages to source. And I ask for it to be cleared in all timelines, dimensions, realities, timelines. See, that was timelines see, they were blocking that word. But anyways, I caught it, timelines. So they're clearing it in all timelines. So source is clearing in all timelines. And then we're asking that Senija receive compensation from source from these experiences. They won't like that. And we're also sending all of these experiences with the fear of God back to source and then back to sender. And we're asking source to step in on Senija's behalf. Good. Good. And then again, they're gonna put a fire shield around you of protection, a protective field, around you, Senija. And then you're gonna be able to see clearly and have more discernment and have like a laser focus. So, because with all the fear, it's like, oh, I'm afraid to see. It's like, okay, but that's been cleared. So now you'll be able to have laser focus and you're going to be able to see clearly. And then everything is sent to source and then back to sender. And then we're asking source to step in for Senija. And then this space is sealed in source's name. And this transmission is protected in source's name. And then all updates and upgrades are to be updated with the records with Anubis and Toth only source aligned. And then just holding kind of like true faith, grace, unconditional love is like the highest frequency. That's the causal heart. That's like source. Say source is 25D. Like that's like those expressions are the highest expressions. Like grace, unconditional love, joy, faith. So just bringing in the law of grace. And then I want confirmation that the records have been updated for Senija. And they say complete. So it's done. Yeah, I mean, Jesus, the J that didn't exist in that timeline, but Yeshua, he was sent to tell the truth, that you can awaken your light in you. You can awaken to your connection to God's source divine presence in you. And then in this work, it's energy work, we do it through the heart. The heart is the hardest to the heart is the hardest to interfere with. So that's why they came through the back of the head of the nervous system. That's usually where they like to target the nervous system. So we do a lot of work in these lives with the nervous system, clearing the nervous system. But it was basically to interfere with the heart. And they're saying like it's going to be like, when you have dry skin and it peels off, kind of like that. It's just going to peel off of you. Yeah. All right, good. Okay, so let's check the chat. Okay, so okay, so sending love back. I got some hearts. Okay. Senija says, yes, I lost faith and trust. Yeah, that's very typical. And that's what the controllers love. They love us to feel like despondent or like depressed, or there's no miracles, there's no access to God's source divine presence. There's no, it's hopeless. It's not hopeless. It's the opposite of hopeless. And actually, once we start, like, I feel like that's light worker work. Like the moment I wake up in the morning, I am doing light worker work. I'm naming technology in source's name. I'm claiming the atmosphere in source's name. I'm claiming my space in source's name. And then And then in these lives, we're naming everything in source's name and we're updating the records. And we're saying in a crystal clear. So nobody can, it's crystal clear that we do not give consent, and inferred consent is not consent. And then Senija says, I have lots of resentment on how women have been suppressed. Yeah, the divine feminine. I mean, I was shown like in a session last week, not even that long ago, like I think it was Sunday. Oh my gosh, yeah, it wasn't that long ago. And then today's Tuesday is basically with women right now, they're trying to put us kind of like in an ivory tower, to heal. They're like, we're taking you kind of like up like in a tower, because yeah, of course, the women, I mean, just look in the crucifixion timeline, Mary Magdalene, what she was turned into, and she was equal to Yeshua. They came in this incarnation, they came with the same job, the same volunteer job. So, okay. And then that's what I did, releasing it. Okay, so good. And then I'm feeling it in my stomach area. Okay, and then do you feel some release, and do you feel, because the stomach area would be like your power in 3D, like the first three energy centers, the root, 2 inches below the belly button, and where the ribs meet is kind of like all relationships and power, basically. Good. All right. Well, thank you. Good questions. Thank you, Juanita. And thank you, Senija. You're both really good at expressing yourselves in the chat, which is really helpful. They're excited for you. Senija is like anchoring respect to respect, and then connecting with sisterhood and brotherhood, right? That is 5D. 3D is my way, and I'm God, and I have power over you, and I'm powerful. I'm seeing those a lot, like where the Anunnaki, um, it'll be in one of there's another decree I'm writing right now, which is called the false white light decree. And the head person I have found, because usually I'm like targeted, the head person is Anu. And then I had like I'll say it in one of the decrees, but basically like had a powwow on Sunday. And Anu did not win. Because they need you to be afraid. In order to control you, they need you to be afraid. But if you're not afraid, then they can't, they lose basically. And then they know, but they're kind of taking a shot at it, but they're not. So I'm always kind of shown like what's in the field around, and then who is the kind of like, there's different controllers in 3D, and then I'm seeing the different players of the different controllers. And so before it was Yaldabaoth, because Yaldabaoth is in control of like the 3D. And then Anu is the controller of 4D. He's like the top controller of 4D. So I didn't even know. Well, lots of other people, I guess, know, but I didn't know that, because until I need to know about them, then and they're around me. But I heard the name, and then I didn't know who it was, and then within a week I found out, and then I cleared them. But it was pretty gross. But I'll say that story another time as I integrate it more. So Senija says, yes, she's released, and through breathing. Okay, good, good, good. And then just give you some more help with a nervous system and just clearing through the hair, the fast track. And good. Yeah, they're just gonna bring in some tourmaline crystal for you, Senija, as well. So the crystals have really stepped forward. the quartz crystal. This one is like so huge and heavy. And it was like my first crystal that was given a gift, and it was like 1993, I think. And I've kept it with me. And I give like everything away. So I give so much away. But I've always kept that. No matter all the places I've lived and traveled, it's like always with me. And then Senija says she's feeling calmer. Thank you. Yellow heart and hug. And Senija says she's holding tourmaline. Okay, great. Wow. So I wonder, was that at the same time? We were doing it at the same time without knowing, right? That's sisterhood and brotherhood. Sisterhood and brotherhood is sister to sister, respect to respect, where we're working together. And even though it's like we're on Zoom, we're on YouTube, we're not in a physical space together, it's still, we are connected. Nice. So Juanita says nice, and Juanita smiles. Smiley face. Great. It's kind of interesting. I didn't realize that they did this in the chat. I never noticed, but they put like a number one with a crown beside you, and then they do it like different colors, like um, I don't know why, I don't know. I'm just noticing it on YouTube. I've never noticed it before. I've just always looked at your handle. So, and then Senija says, I brought crystals when you started holding yours. Okay, amazing. So good. And then they'll really help. I feel like they're really helping, especially the tourmaline is helping with the divine masculine, the left side of the body, and anchoring in the protection and the grounding, you know, the respect, the sisterhood and brotherhood, right? That we have that in both of us. And yes, absolutely, like the divine feminine has completely been decimated in 3D, but too bad, so sad. In this timeline, the divine feminine is activating and awakening completely. So, um, and then Juanita saying hi to Helen. Oh, I didn't see Helen. Oh, Yahweh. Yahweh is interesting. So Senija is saying, like, yes, Yahweh, the bad guy from the Bible. Yeah, it's interesting, but to me, Yahweh is less powerful than Yaldabaoth, and then Anu is more powerful than them. So there is like a hierarchy. Like, and Yahweh was more like he comes in kind of like at the beginning of, when you're embodying 4D. Yahweh, that's when Yahweh kind of has temper tantrums and kind of interference comes in. So Yahweh comes in first, and then how I saw it was like the men in black then kind of show up, kind of like the secret agents. I mean, it's in a movie, but it's kind of funny, but they almost want to, like, well, it's not funny, but they do want to brag. So, and oh, hi, Helen. I didn't see that you were here. Hi, Helen. Um, hi. Hi, hi, hi. And then Helen says, hi, Juanita. Hi, Senija. That's awesome. And then Juanita says, I'm from Oregon. Hope you all have a great day and clear all the ley lines. Let the truth be louder. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, lots of love. All right, I think let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up with the black tourmaline and with the divine masculine holding. So the divine masculine holding, that's also inside of us before it is expressed outside. And then let's bring in source's golden light. and to clear the space, and then just to bring in a clearing. But let's bring in the golden light of source into all of our cells, and then right to the root cause, to the very first incarnation. Bring in source's golden light, and then we seal this space in source's name, and we seal this YouTube live in source's name, and we seal the energy clearings that have happened in this YouTube live in source's name, and we bring in a fire shield of protection as well. I just saw a crow fly across the window, which means it's done. Because they're like the little gossips, you know, the crows. They're kind of like, sometimes they interfere, but they're also like, they basically need to anchor and say what happened, what's happening on Earth. All right, thank you for being here. Excellent questions. And we'll see you on Thursday, Thursday new time, 11 a.m. Thursday, live, and I will send another message. And then thank you all for being here, sending you lots of love. And then hopefully we'll see you at 11:11 on Thursday. All right, take care. Bye. All the best.